Things That Are, Day 5, Chapter 12, Felonies. Thank you. It's so cold, the man whispers, teeth chattering as we stand on the landing inside the back door. Down here, and I reach for the basement door. With the door open, a big breath of warm air rises and surrounds us. The furnace in this old house is huge. You first. I flip the light switch on my right. The tread creaks as he walks down, and I follow with Gertie, pulling the door shut behind us, my right hand on the smooth wooden handrail. It's 6 steps down to the concrete floor. Should be socks and some other clothes on the wooden rack by the washer. Yes, wonderful. Do you think anyone will mind? I push my fears aside, try to sound as if it's normal to be helping an invisible man get dressed right in front of me. No, not at all. Gertie growls, then almost yips, and I know if she starts barking, Mom and Dad will hear. Gertie, hush. Good girl. And I make a show of having to restrain her. I want this man to know that she's my protector, and my family's protector. Bobby's too. I put a hard edge on my voice, a take charge tone. You need to stay put down here, and you have to keep quiet, because you were right about Bobby being followed, and me too. It's the FBI. And I'm pleased at how I sound, very no-nonsense strong. Then I can't help asking, will you be all right? I think so, he says. Yes, thanks so much. I just need to warm up. His words are strained, the voice of someone in pain. Then he says, is Bobby here? Because I really need to talk to him. I think he's still in more danger than he knows. I want to ask what he means by that, but I don't want the power to shift. Don't want to make William feel like he's in charge, because he isn't. That's what I tell myself. I put on my strong voice again. He's not here, but he might come back later, because that's what I hope. Well, he says, tell him I must speak with him, all right? Please? I nod and I say, I will, but only because he said please. And our conversation is over. Gertie and I are up the stairs with the door open, and now on the landing, and I step aside and close the basement door. And I turn the deadbolt. I'm locking him down there, and I wish this door had another lock, or two. I stand still for almost a minute, my back against the locked door, until my breathing is almost back to normal. As I start up the stairs, I can tell Gertie wants to stay on the landing and be a watchdog. I'm halfway through the kitchen before she scrambles up the steps and comes with me toward the family room. And as I turn left out of the kitchen doorway, I'm already framing an announcement to my parents, imagining how to break this news story. Maybe, guess who I've got locked in the basement? Or, I know for a fact that the police are not going to find anyone at the library. The local news is still on the TV, and I'm 4 steps from the family room door when Gertie doubles back past me and trots along the front hallway. And 2 seconds later, the doorbell rings. The TV goes mute, and Daddy says, dang it, I should have been out back erasing my files. That has to be the FBI. Daddy almost never swears. Mom hurries out of the family room, and as she passes me, she says, I'll get the door, Alicia. Your father thinks it's going to be the FBI. Makes sense to me. The agent said he needed to talk to all 3 of us. If they're watching the house, they'll know Mom and Dad are home now. Or did they follow William here? And that thought snaps a jolt of fear through me, makes my breathing go all ragged again. Over her shoulder, Mom says, and if it is the FBI, then we just say as little as possible, all right? I'm surprised that Mom's being so steady, so unemotional about this. And it's not an act. She's actually calm. Plus, a little earlier, she made a genuinely friendly comment about Bobby. It's an odd moment to be making realizations, standing here with my heart pounding away, but it strikes me that I haven't been letting Mom grow much, letting my view of her change. I've been so busy fighting my own battles that I haven't noticed she's been winning some too. I hear Mom open the front door, and then a male voice. Then, Alicia, Leo, would you come to the parlor? We have guests. Mom using her hostess voice. Daddy comes out of the family room and offers me his arm. He whispers, let's keep this real simple, okay? Don't volunteer any information. When we're in the doorway, Mom takes charge. Alicia, there's room over here on the couch. Leo, this is Agent Porter of the New York Bureau of the FBI. Did I get that right? Yes, ma'am. Special Agent Charles Porter. And this is Agent Joan Argus. And they'd like to ask us some questions, right? The man says, that's right. We're here because an acquaintance of your daughter's, Robert Phillips, had contact with a man known as William. We believe these two first met in New York City and that they had some kind of disagreement there. And we think that this man may have followed Robert here to Chicago. The man is wanted in New York for questioning and for resisting arrest, and we think he may be in a danger to Mr. Phillips and possibly to his friends and acquaintances. So first, I'd like to know if any of you have seen Robert Phillips in the past 8 hours. Without a trace of hesitation, my mom says, "He was here visiting my daughter less than an hour ago, and Alicia saw him earlier at the library, too. They've been close friends for a long time, and since his parents are away until Sunday, we're sort of watching out for him until they get back. He may come back and join us for supper in a little while." So Mom knows that Bobby's parents are away. Makes sense, since they've all been in cahoots about the research. I'm smiling and nodding, totally blown away by Mom's coolness, and that bit about supper was a nice touch. And I see how this conversation is going to go. That first question was a test, because the agents already knew the answer. They've been following Bobby, so they must have seen him come here and then drive away again, unless the people following Bobby aren't with the FBI at all. I wish Bobby hadn't left. I mean, I know I can get along fine on my own, I'm sure of that, but I don't want to be on my own, and I want to know that Bobby's safe and close. My dad says, "This man, William, you don't have his whole name?" "No," Agent Porter says. "He's been difficult to identify." "Can you show us a photo so we can watch out for him?" Daddy says. Brilliant question, because it's impossible for them to have a photo. But the question tells them that we think William is just a normal guy. I'm surrounded by smart people here. The other agent, the woman, clears her throat. "We've only got a physical description. He's a white male, aged 35 to 40, about 5 feet, 8 inches tall, shoulder-length hair, wiry build, and he speaks with a British accent." Daddy says, "Even around the university, there aren't many men that age with shoulder-length hair. So someone like that would stand out, accent or not. But, of course, he would easily change his hair." "Right," says the woman. "So you or your wife, you haven't seen him or spoken with him?" Mom says, "No, I'm sure I haven't. Have you, Leo?" "No, I'm certain of it." Agent Porter says, "How about you, Alicia?" "A university security guard thinks he saw you talking to someone at the library earlier this afternoon. And just like that, I'm on the spot. I want to tell the truth, because sooner or later, reality occurs. But I'm more scared about our secret getting out than I am about lying. So I give a sheepish smile and say, someone could have seen me talking to my dog. I do that a lot. And I talk to myself too, which I know is weird. But is that why you followed me home from the library? Because some guard said I might have talked to someone?" The woman clears her throat, then rustles some paper, and I can picture her flipping the pages of a small black notebook, checking her facts, and ready to write down every word I say. She says, "We're just checking out all the links to the suspect, miss. And Robert Phillips is our best link to the man at the moment. And you're linked to him." She's got a pleasant voice, no particular accent, a reasonable voice, like my history teacher. "And this man," I ask, "is he dangerous? Does he have a criminal record and everything? Fingerprints and all that?" More paper rustling, and the sound of a ballpoint pen scratching away. "We're not permitted to discuss details of an ongoing investigation," she says. "All I can tell you is that he's wanted for resisting arrest in New York City." I smile in her direction, but I keep drilling in. "And the FBI got involved because he resisted arrest? Or is he wanted for a lot of other crimes too?" I'm pushing it now, but these questions are important. If this William is a serious criminal, I need to know that right now. Agent Porter says, "When a fugitive crosses state lines, then it becomes a federal matter. Like Agent Argus said, we can't discuss details, but it's important that if you have any contact at all with this man, you give us a call right away, okay?" I nod and say, "Sure," which is a lie. Both agents stand up, and so do Mom and Dad. I stay on the couch, scratching behind Gertie's ears. Agent Porter says, "Thanks for taking the time to talk with us." And he talks. As he talks, his voice moves toward the front hall, then stops. More rustling, this time into a pocket, or maybe a briefcase. "Here's my card, and this is the number where you can reach us. And one last thing, we think this man is extremely clever. Please don't get tricked into helping him. Anyone who knowingly assists this man or fails to report any information they may have about him is committing a federal offense, aiding a fugitive from justice, which is a felony. And I wouldn't want you good people to get in trouble on his account." Daddy's already in the vestibule, and I can hear him open the front door. "We'll be careful," he says, "and let us know if there's anything else we can do." The door closes and they're gone, but they've left behind a new kind of fear. I've never been a felon before. Mom sits back down on the couch and pats me on the knee and says, "Well, that wasn't so bad, was it? Those two seemed like very decent people. And you did the right thing not telling them about talking to that man at the library." She's still being calm, but she's sounding a little like the old mom, trying to put a sweetsy spin on a bad situation, because I've lost count of how many times I'm already guilty of federal crimes. Daddy's back in the room, and he says, "And how about the way they talked about William, as if he's just another guy who came here from New York? Of course they have to act that way, as if he's normal. So we have to act that way too. It's important we don't give them any way at all to establish a link between us and William or his condition. They'd be in here with a warrant in no time. Even if they do end up catching him, as long as there's no provable connection to us, we'll still be all right. And they won't be able to prove anything that William might tell them about Bobby. It'll be Bobby's word against his. Still, the best would be if William were to simply disappear again. Gertie pulls away, and I hear her claws click on the hardwood in the corner of the parlor. She growls, and then scratches at the metal floor grate. It's William's scent, drifting up through the heating vent. He's probably been right below us listening to all of this. Gertie, here. She comes back and sits in front of me. Daddy says, "What's bothering her?" I shrug. "Too many strangers, I guess." And this sick feeling grabs at my stomach, because I've just told Dad a lie. And I feel like I don't quite know him anymore. This Dad who zaps mice into transparency and then grinds them up at the kitchen sink. He feels bad about it, but still. Is this the same Daddy who used to read The Wind in the Willows to me? And I've got this mom now, who's suddenly behaving like a real human being, like a person I could talk to, except I don't dare. And she just told me I did the right thing by lying. Mom says, "Everything okay, Alicia?" She's worried. I must look awful. I throw a quick smile onto my face. "Yeah, I'm fine." Another lie. Mom shifts gears and says, "So, is everybody hungry? How about we order in Chinese? Sound good? Alicia, why don't you give Bobby a call and tell him he's invited?" I wasn't just saying that. "And while we're waiting, we can have some cheese and crackers, maybe some fruit." Daddy says, "Sounds great. I'm famished." And the two of them are headed for the kitchen. How can they think of food? Especially Daddy. Over her shoulder, Mom calls, "Alicia, come help out, okay?" I can hear the tinge of forced cheeriness in her voice, and that's for me. And for Daddy, too, because she's trying to keep a grip on a normal life. Both of them are. And I don't blame them for wanting that. Not at all. And they vanish toward the kitchen in a fading cloud of small talk, as if our problems are over now. A sudden rush of gratitude seizes me, forces a lump into my throat, because Mom and Dad have always tried so hard to keep me safe, to keep me happy, to keep me from making terrible mistakes. And my teeth clamp together, my jaw muscles tighten from the fierceness of my love for these two people. And what I want most is to make sure they do not have to endure one more heartache because of me. Not one more. And that feels so impossible. Mom calls again, "Alicia." I call back, "In a minute." I'm alone in the dark. And I feel William sitting somewhere below the floor, like a time bomb that could blow up my home, lift my whole life right off its foundation. And I feel those agents outside, close by, secure within the power of the law, watching, biding their time as the dim afternoon light fades away. And Bobby, who's home from New York now, but still so far away. "Gertie, here." And she comes and puts her head on my knees. She knows I'm shaky. Good girl, good girl. I lean forward and hug her, and I fight not to burst into tears. I fight hard, because I'm not doing that. I'm not going to fall apart. I'm not. No matter how surreal things get, I'm still me. I know that. Who I am and what I am does not change, does not disappear, does not fade away. I know that. I've had to prove that. I'm Alicia. It's me. Yes, I broke the law when I let that man into the basement. And yes, I broke the law again when I didn't open up to the FBI agent. And I don't think the agent believed me about not talking to anyone at the library. He was hoping I'd be more afraid. And William, he wants me to be afraid too. Afraid of the FBI. Afraid for Bobby. Even my own parents want me to be afraid, so I won't talk, won't ask too many questions, won't rock the boat. They want me to sit quietly, in the dark, alone. No, that's not true. They'd help if they could, because Mom and Dad don't know the whole situation. Neither does Bobby. But I did not invite this stuff into my life. It's not my fault. None of it. And I'm afraid. There, I said it. I'm afraid. Honesty. I stare into the darkness and I hold on to Gertie, and I remember about honesty. Because above all, blindness has forced me to be honest, and forced me to be humble enough to ask for help. Because asking for help is not weakness. It takes courage and faith. Sometimes it even takes love and trust. And right now, tonight, this is one of those times. Chapter 13, We. Bobby wasn't kidding about how fast he could get back over here. I called him 7 or 8 minutes ago, caught him with a mouthful of lasagna. But it was only his first bite, so he stuck the rest in the fridge, hopped in the car, and now he's in our kitchen again. And I'm glad he wanted to come. Daddy's been telling Bobby about the visit from the FBI, but I can tell no one else wants to think about all that right now. Mom changes the subject. "So, how did your auditions go, Bobby?" she says. "Was it 4 or 5 that you took?" 5, he says, and I think most of them went pretty well. The best was my jazz audition at this school in New Jersey, William Patterson. "So," she asked, "is that one you'd like to go to if you could get accepted? Still not sure, he says. Well, all those Eastern schools are so good. I'm sure you'll find the one that's just right. And I've got this sudden feeling that Mom is being nice to Bobby because she's sure he's going to be completely out of my life by the end of August. Except I'm not letting that happen. Daddy says, Alicia, the food should be here any minute, so here's the money, 220s. Ask for $4 and change, okay? That'll still leave a nice tip for the driver. Daddy's always doing stuff like this, making me handle cash, making me pump gas at the self-serve island, making me check in the luggage when we go to the airport. He tells me what to do and then walks away. And it's good. Independence training. Right, I say, and I'm on my feet. He hands me the bills and I start for the front hallway. And I say, Bobby, want to help me carry the food? Sure, he says, but I don't need help carrying the food. I need other help. 2 years ago, Bobby was alone, lost, out in the cold, until he trusted me. And now the wheel has come full circle. We're in the front parlor and he's chewing. Want a grape? Then he's in front of me and he sees my face. What? What is it? I put a finger to my lips and I whisper, Bobby, I did a stupid thing. I take his arm and pull him to the opposite corner of the room, away from the iron floor grate that opens into the basement. I let William into the house, here, just a few minutes before the FBI came. He's locked down in the basement. He was freezing, and I let him in. I had to. It takes a second for that to sink in. He whispers, too. So, William got himself out of the library, and he came here? I nod. And I know I shouldn't have let him in, but I had to. He's quiet for 5 or 10 seconds, and I'm so afraid he's going to tell me what an idiot I am. Then he asks, how did he know where you live? I shrugged, surprised by the question. I guess he looked up the address. He knew my last name. You told him your whole name? He whispers. I shake my head. No, he already knew it. When he first talked to me at the library, he must have heard you say my name to Gwen in New York. Uh-huh. No way, he says. I told Gwen about Alicia. That's all I ever said to her, Alicia. I'm sure of it. And what did you say? What? About Alicia, to Gwen. I'm swerving off course, but I need to hear this. Bobby's still whispering, and I can hear a half smile on his voice. That she's pretty, and brave, and smart. I love hearing him say that, but I snort. Right, smart. Let some creep she knows nothing about right into her house. Brilliant. Bobby's back on the problem. So, William knew your last name, and he came to your house, and you let him in. I nod. And now I've given the police everything they need to put all of us in jail, and sweep in here and seize all our dad's research, everything. Bobby takes my right hand, long, cool fingers, a gentle squeeze. That's not going to happen. This whole thing stinks. I know, Bobby. I'm so sorry I got us into this mess, really, and I feel like I'm going to choke up. No, he whispers quickly. I mean, it stinks like entrapment, like a setup. It has to be. William shows up at the university library, and he knows your whole name. Then they stage a bomb scare and pretend to hunt for him, which gives him an excuse to come here, right where they want him. You let him in, and now it looks like we're hiding a fugitive, like we're all breaking the law, so we feel like we have to cooperate or get arrested. I don't think William's a fugitive. I think he's been forced to become a federal employee. He's working for the FBI now. Nothing else makes sense. They're using him to get to the information, the whole secret, the process. So it's not your fault. I think you were set up. But even if all that's true, I say, if I hadn't let him in, we wouldn't be stuck like this. He pulls me closer, one arm around my back, and he says, listen, it'll be okay. They say the food in jail isn't so bad once you get used to it. A little laugh from both of us. And we hug, a long hug, and he drops his head and puts his face into the hollow of my shoulder, against my neck, and I feel him draw a long breath through his nose. He's inhaling me, and I'm melting. And as I melt, I'm mapping this scene in my mind, the parlor, where we're standing, how we're making one shadow on the wall, the texture of the carpet under our feet, because I want to be able to see this again, to feel it, right here in my heart, anytime Alicia! Mom calling from the kitchen. The woman has boy radar. I take a half step back and I call, what, Mom? Ask for extra soy sauce, okay? The driver will probably have some with him. Okay, I yell back. So our hugging scene is over, but not erased, not deleted. It's on pause. Whispering again, I ask Bobby, so any ideas about William? What should we do? Actual ideas? No, not really. But for starters, we'll eat some food, and we'll think. Maybe invite William upstairs to have some pork fried rice. Probably not. I'm not sure what we should do, but I know we can figure it out. I'm sure we can. And I love that word, we. Gertie whines, feeling left out, and I reach down and pat her head. Good girl, because I need her help too. We all need each other. The doorbell rings and I deal with the transaction, and I remember to get some extra soy sauce. I've got a grip on one bag and Bobby's carrying two, and the food smells great, and all of a sudden, I'm starving. Let's go, Bobby says, and he guides my hand to his elbow. And we head for the kitchen. Boy, girl, dog, and I feel so much better about everything for the moment.